So something to talk about that's actually a broader problem than just the strike itself. It's the implications that we don't make anything in the U.S. We should be making products here. We should be doing all these kinds. We should be making products by Americans for Americans. We should be doing that. So why is it we're not doing that? Well, like what's the problem? Well, you've got a bunch of companies that are heavily subsidized with fake money. And one of the things they've got is a whole bunch of manufacturing slave countries all over the world. And that stuff gets brought into the country. This is, of course, it's created a choke point. So this is where you do have an issue where the unions on the docks do have a valid argument that they're going to make here, which is that, well, what do we care? You have everything on just-in-time delivery. Just-in-time delivery, for those of you who don't understand how that game is played, is you're a big company and you never have any inventory on the shelf because you don't want to tie up all the money. You want to always be looking good on paper for your shareholders. That's one. Number two, you don't want to pay a bunch of inventory taxes. And the reason we keep inventory taxes around is to crush small businesses who would go in and just say, no, hey, I'm going to buy a bunch of inventory and have it on the shelf. And that way, when there's something that happens, I've got a bunch of it here and I can sell it. Right, so inventory tax is designed to punish that, so that way your small competitors can't really compete. Because if a big competitor calls up and says, the manufacturer, and says, hey, we need X amount of millions of dollars of this because reasons, right? Where is your order going to go as a small business owner? It's going to go to the bottom of the stack, and they're going to go straight to the big guys, and they're going to let the big guys do, they're going to fill their orders first. Okay, that means that once again, the big guys keep getting more and more sales by default because you can't get product, right? You following me on this so far? That's what this has caused. And so the big companies love this kind of stuff because they know that the small guys will never, they're not going to get caught up. They're going to have to tell their customers, oh, we're told 4 to 6 weeks by the manufacturer, so I'm going to tell you 6 to 8 weeks. Whereas the big guys will say, yeah, we'll have it here in 2 weeks. Well, yeah, because they can do that, because they're just gonna get the bigger orders. And remember, the manufacturers are gonna satisfy the larger companies, because manufacturers most of them don't understand the idea that you don't want to have more than 25% of your volume going to one company, one buyer. You don't want to have that. That you get what's called what I call the Walmart effect. It's where Walmart or any big category crusher like that begins owning your business more than you own it. And I know several guys that have gotten themselves in that situation where they start having one customer that's a whale, and it starts making up more than 25% of their volume. I've actually ran into one guy, we had a conversation with him a few months back, and this big buyer, if I said the name of it, you'd know it instantly. This big buyer, it makes up something like 60% of their total volume. Well, they're screwed. They're hosed. Because if that one company says, hey, we no longer want to buy your stuff, or we don't want to pay that much anymore, you need to lower your price, yeah, they're hosed. They don't make enough money to do this. So they pretty much have to walk on eggshells with these companies. Does that make sense? It's a terrible situation to get put in, and it comes from, once again, there's a ripple effect. It starts off with borrowing too much money. It starts off with not owning the property on which your business is sitting. On and on. There's so many things here that affect all of that, and that's a problem. So when we have this just-in-time delivery idea, it becomes a choke point, right? And this is why what's happening now, this is why this is so dangerous, and why it's actually causing all of the horrible effects that it is. I say this as someone who is in business, and it's why I look at this, at the landscape, and there's no way that I'm going to be investing any huge amounts of money in almost anything. Why would I want to do anything like this when I know that it's just going to be completely destroyed by not just the mega corporations, right, but by the government that's owned by the mega corporations, that's owned by the bankers? Because that's really where all this comes down to. And so, yeah, you're just going to have to deal with a stagnant, not just economy, but a stagnant culture, and probably a culture that's on its way out right now, because you're not going to allow this, and nobody, to my knowledge, teaches any of this stuff. Very few people teach this stuff because most people don't know it. They're not on that side of of the business equation, right? Most people are on the consumption side. They're not on the supply side. Okay, so I'm on the supply side, so I see all this stuff all the time. So there's that. I mean, I hope maybe this helped you learn something from it.